Welcome to The Roll Call, the podcast where we dive into the roles that define us. I'm your host, John Glahn. On each episode, we explore the journeys of people discovering their true roles in life, business, and beyond. Get ready for inspiring conversations about finding purpose and authenticity. Let's roll the roll call. Hello, welcome to The Roll Call. I'm John Glahn. I have with me Jim Trueblood, founder and owner of Trueblood Real Estate that's growing like crazy and doing amazing things in the state of Indiana and probably a few more things beyond. We're all here accounted for. Let's start the roll call. Welcome, Jim. How you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Truth be told, we do have a past. Jim and I we went under different names back then, but back in college, we had ourselves a ball, and Jim was always, really back then, even had an entrepreneurial spirit, was doing real estate even back then, right? I mean, back then owned his house in college, I think owned the house.
Yep.
And was doing big boy things way back when.
Yep.
And now I'm so excited to hear all the amazing, great, fun things you're doing. You're rubbing elbows with some pretty cool cats at Purdue, shooting hoops with Braden Smith. That's pretty damn cool with our boiler. So he's a huge boiler fan. I will get into a point where there's a point of disappointment where he's been stepping into other territories and sponsoring other places that, that aren't Purdue. But either way, Jim, I'm so excited to hear what you have going on. So let's start from the beginning. What got you to start and when did you start?
Trueblood? Kind of complicated story like most. It wasn't a straight line. Obviously getting out of college, went to work at a mutual friend's lumberyard there for a year. To be honest, kind of did that because I just wasn't ready to leave all my friends and start life yet.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a placeholder. And when doing that, actually put together, it was when the market was booming, put together a condo conversion in Florida, which at the time seemed like a wonderful idea. Back at the time with some local investors in town, and we bought basically a motel. I moved to Florida. We flipped it, but that is when the market died. So to be honest with you, made a couple poor personal decisions while down there because I was 25 years old and thought I had made it just by putting the deal together before it had succeeded. So to be frank, came back fairly broke. Mutual friends of ours gave me let me put a single bed in their office in their house and let me live for free for 6 months. And my mom paid my bills. And another friend of ours, I keep saying ours, a lot of these people go back 25 years. And got me a job, got me an interview with a real estate company. And that's kind of how I got there. But, wanted to be a real estate investor, as you mentioned. I owned a couple of houses in Lafayette, put the product together in Florida. It did not go well for multiple reasons. You couldn't sell anything. Came back and really had to start from ground zero. But I learned a whole heck of a lot in that failure. And I think it's helped me down the road, as painful as those couple of years were. And I'll be honest with you, they were painful personally and professionally. My mom was a big help. If she hadn't given me money, she quite frankly didn't have, and a second chance I probably didn't deserve at that point, none of this probably would have happened. But I had, great family, great friends, and picked myself up and finally got back on track. But it definitely was not a smooth ride early.
Yeah. I think speaking of our mutual friends, their father had a pretty telling phrase with stuff like that. He said, that's an FE.
Yeah.
F an experience, right?
Yeah. It wasn't fun, but it was so valuable at the time. You're like, this is brutal. You know what I mean? Like, this is not fun. You're embarrassed because, you're all thinking you're going to be a millionaire, and you come back with your head between your legs and you're looking for friends just to help you get by. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. No, I say constantly, right? I don't learn by reading a book. I learn by getting my face kicked in or my shin skinned up, right? I mean, that's, and most people don't get to learn anything like that because they don't take that leap.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest character piece in that is willing to take the leap. And some can say gamble, some can say all these things, but No, I mean, knowing you enough and knowing your experience enough, knowing who you're dealing with enough, right? This wasn't just a floated through the air kind of thing. This was thought out, and it was a damn good opportunity. But you can't, I know those times in Florida too. My house, I had to do some unspeakable things with my house when I left Florida too, right? Just
Right.
that I'd have to do, because that was just nuts and crazy back then.
Yeah, it was bad, and it shaped me, but came back, and from there I just got my general real estate license. I will say most of the people around me, a lot of the people were like, just go get a job, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And my mom supported me. It was like, I can't do it. I won't be happy if I go work at Enterprise and make my 40 grand a year. I had a business degree at Purdue. It wouldn't have been a problem getting a job. I just didn't want to do it. And my friends and my mom and eventually my girlfriend, who's now my wife, gave me the opportunity to kind of pursue that. And it wasn't easy from there. I got my real estate license. I remember the numbers this day. My first year, I made 19 grand. My second year, I made 21. Keep in mind this, but I'm 26, 27 years old with a business degree from Purdue. I'm making 20 grand gross. It was very lean, and then just slowly inched my way up. But the big turning point for me and really my life and career was my neighbors were moving. Okay, so my wife and I had bought our first house. Our neighbors were moving, and we were kind of bums. We were over there just having a glass of wine, and we had been there for 2 years, and they were on a site like looking for houses called Zillow. I'm like, what is this? So we get home that night after I'd had a couple of drinks, and I'm like surfing, and I look up my own listings at the time. I only had a couple, and my name wasn't on them. I'm like, what is this? Like, hit inquire, and it goes to the owner of the previous brokerage I was at. And so on Monday morning, I called him, like, hey, how does this work? He's like, it's a pay to play scheme. If you pay, you get the leads. If you don't pay, you don't. And so I started buying leads the next day on Zillow, and just had a mindset. Once I saw it worked, and it was tough. I was leaving movies and leaving dinners to go out and answer the call. At that point, I'm like, I'm paying $200 a month. Like, I'm going to do it. And it just grew from there. I mean, now I spend $200 every 20 minutes, 24/7, 365. So it's the same thing, just on a lot bigger scale than 20 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. And man, holy cow. And at that point, you're, like you said, you're grossing $20,000. So
Yeah.
so
It's like 19, 21, then 35, then 42. But then you have expenses in real estate, and you have like you look back, like how you survived. Like, I was eating, Subway sandwiches and whatever. Like, I didn't do anything. I missed one of my good friends' bachelor party in Vegas. I was like, guys, I can't go. I just can't go. My mom's paying my bills. I can't go to Vegas. It would just not been right,
Yeah. And gosh, and what I love about this is that people see where you are today, and we'll talk through that a little more about what Trueblood real estate is, right? But hearing all this, and most people, if they're making that, who's going to then throttle down more money, right, to go try to do more, right? Most people are just like, I'm just going to hustle harder and just keep trying to do the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah, and it just, I don't know, it was a mindset a little bit, but I wanted to buy them all. I was like, if it worked, I don't want anybody else to buy them. So we didn't spend the money. I consistently just bought everything available. And Kate, my wife, she's like, are you done? Are you done? Are you done? I'm like, no, because it works. Like, I promise eventually I'll be done. That was 20 years ago. Anyways, but it just, when you whatever, if you have a repeatable business model, right?
Yeah.
That's what works. So I saw it was working. We've built a lot of other things we can get into along the way. But as far as that was the thing that really propelled me from just an individual agent to selling a lot on my own, to having started hiring a team to brokerage. But none of that would have happened if I hadn't started buying leads and I had something to propel me and to give to others, right? You can't start a team or a brokerage if there's no benefit to the people, quote unquote, you're working with or underneath you. So that was really the biggest decision I made, that has changed everything. So,
wow. So then when did you then go out and start your own brokerage then?
Yeah, so we built what was a team of about 15, one of the larger teams in central Indiana. And in 2017, I had kind of decided like I have to do it because I was paying my broker so much. And it wasn't his fault, but there just wasn't a lot there, right? It
Mm.
was just a simple brokerage, almost just to process checks. I was paying for systems and those things on my own. And
Right.
so we worked to launch it, got people to do it, a couple key guys to do it with me because there were roles I didn't really want to do. Like I didn't want to be an admin or a managing broker. I wanted to open the brokerage, but run it and then run my team. And so we launched with about 20 people total in September of 2018. So I think it's roughly 7.5 years ago with 20 people. Just in our where I'm at now, we opened an office in Fishers that fall and started from there.
Wow. So how many do you have now?
We have 225 agents. And we also have a title company. So between the two companies, I think we have 15 employees and then the 225 agents that are 1099.
Yeah.
But we expect to probably be 300 by the end of the year.
Wow. Are you at liberty to say how that's going to happen?
Yeah, first time we hired a full-time recruiter in September. We had done all this word of mouth, done it on my own, done it for different things, never had a full-time recruiter. So I got to over 200 without a recruiter. In hindsight, I would have hired a recruiter before, but you don't know until you do it, right? It's like every year I'm like, oh, we have everything in place. And then the next year comes, I'm like, oh, we did 3 or 4 more things I should have done 5 years ago, but you don't know. But we hired a recruiter. And we also just expanded to Kentucky. So we have a big partner with Realtor.com now. So we've taken over on February 3rd, quite frankly, in a couple of weeks. We take over all the Realtor.com leads in Louisville, Greater Louisville, Southern Indiana, and then all of Greater Lexington.
Wow.
You combine that with our office grand opening in South Bend is Thursday. We're about to sign a lease for an office in Bloomington and working on an office lease in Louisville. So I have to project. I do all the projecting on my own. It's difficult at the time, but I feel comfortable with. I've done it enough now that I feel the projections are probably going to be close. You're never going to be right on. There's
Yeah.
different market factors and things, but so to answer your question, because of a multitude of factors, that's where I expect to be at the end of this year.
Wow. So let's go into your process. You said forecasting, predicting, etc. What are you using what data are you using to do that?
Yeah, so my budgets are done out through 2028 already. So the expenses really aren't difficult, right? Like I know what the expenses are going to be. You take the previous year, if you're adding new offices, new rent, new admin, that is actually not that difficult. The only variable for me is if I add new ad spending for like lead flow, but that almost moves directly with revenue. So again, that doesn't matter. So the hardest part for me is to project the number of agents and the amount of revenue they'll bring in on average and the net money we'll get from sales from leads, because that's completely different than the stuff they sell on their own. So my biggest variable is the net revenue from lead sales and what the agents bring on, what they pay the brokerage as far as their cap from their own sphere. So those are my two big variables. Everything else I've done enough now. It's not that difficult for me. And I have a history. I kind of know what, if we're adding new leads, I kind of know what will net. It's not perfect, but as long as you have a budget, what I found, like even if I miss revenue by 10%, like I know as the year goes on, I don't adjust my budget. I just know like if I miss revenue by 10%, 10% of X amount, you're just going to be short that amount. But as you go, it doesn't happen overnight. Like I track it daily and you know where you're at. So
you got what got you into that? Because that's a discipline that not many small to medium businesses have baked in because of all the other stuff that's happening in the business. They're reacting and doing everything.
So some people think I'm great. So I update the balances of all personal and business checking accounts every morning when I wake up and every night before I go to bed. It's done every day, twice a day. And then I track all the lead sales in real time, still myself, because you can't rely on your systems and things because quite frankly, agents or salespeople, and they're not going to update them. Like I want to know right away. So I'm in all the purchase agreements, seeing when something pins. So I update the cash flow every day. The staff does the deposits, like when agents close houses, and then I double check that every day at dinner. So I rebalance all the accounts at like 4:30, get the deposits at 4:45, redo all the accounts. When in the morning when I wake, normally at 6 before we're getting kids ready for school, I'll see anything that process out of the account, get the new balances every morning, and just do this. It's like every day. So, but I try. We have so much going in and out. We're growing so fast. I can't afford to get my reports in 30 days. Like I have to know today.
Yeah, so that you can continue to push the envelope. Not. I was about to ask if you were going a profits first model, but it sounds like more that's bottom line. Where I'm headed is most people wake up and they look in their bank account and see what can they go do, right?
Right. And it factors in that. Like I know, your expenses. I know what days of the week certain things come out. You have your recurring expenses. Then you're making decisions on like new offices and all these things that are one-time expenses. What I've done for most of our offices, and this is kind of an offshoot, is I've always done where I got the landlord to pay for the build out. Because even if they pay for the build out in our offices, if you've seen them, they're really nice. Just between signage, furniture, all the other stuff, you're $100,000 out of pocket to open a 2,500 square foot office. And so I know that I've opened 3 offices. That's $300,000. They're one-time expenses. So you just have to have a really good eye on what you're doing, especially because as a service business, it's also hard to get financing. So we've been able to maintain 100% ownership of all of our companies. We have a title company too. But to do that, to be frank, I've had to borrow money at pretty high interest rates because it's very difficult to get. And then you're just, it's just cash flow and it's just all the things I have to watch on a really daily basis.
Wow. But that allows you to confidently move forward with something.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it if I wasn't.
Hope we have something in 6 months, right?
Yeah, I wasn't confident that we could do it. And like I said, it's kind of a repeatable thing. I know if we open an office, we're definitely going to add agents. There's going to be revenue there. We'll start closing stuff at our title company there. And you just got to factor all that in. But we've done it enough now. This will be office 6, 7, and 8, where you kind of know what's going to follow. It may not be the exact thing, but it's not like you're going to open an office and get 0 extra revenue, right? My projection could be off, but it's not going to be 0.
Right. So in your projections, are you factoring any outside resources like economical or?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's hard to do because, like, just to be honest with you, the last 3 years, interest rates have been over 7%. And like last year in the wintertime, rates were like 7.25%, but really felt they were going to come down further. And so we're running about 15 or 20% below normal units sold in our industry. And the banks and the title companies, there's no refis. So those units are down. And we really thought 2025 was going to be better. And it's just taken longer for rates to come down. So yeah, my projections were off last year just because you thought the recovery was going to be quicker. So units sold, total revenue was down, expenses were the same. So you make less money. But you just do your best to do that. Like we got a gift from, not to get political at all, but the Trump administration. They're going to, encourage, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy mortgage-backed securities. Well, rates were already down, and then they dropped another 0.25%. And now we're at the lowest rate in 3 years. 7 days ago, nobody knew that was going to happen. So, that's a gift in the right direction, right? Yeah. But there could be equal in the other direction. So you just try and do your best, and then watch it as you go to see if you're trailing above or behind. For us, to be honest, the last couple of years have been a little behind on the revenue because we thought it was going to recover quicker.
Yeah, right. I know that's a fairly common theme around many parts.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with, so your role, I guess, ultimately, you've been at this for, I think you said 8, 9 years now. How has your role shifted and changed through those years?
Oh, it shifted a bunch, right? When we open with 20 people, like I'm just doing a lot of stuff. Like we had one administrator. I don't even know. Just so many daily things that we didn't even have any to the front desk. Might be answering the phone. I might be the one, going to get the pop to fill the refrigerator. Like it was just so different from a business that is entity Plus, I was still selling there at that time when we opened 7.5 years ago. I really wasn't even in my mind that I would stop being a realtor and just run the business.
Right.
But as time goes on, I started doing less and less and realized it was better for me to entrust my clients with somebody else and take a percentage of the business. And I focus on growing the business. And so I've gone from doing every little thing to slowly getting out of production to now really I'm just making the big strategic decisions. And we have an amazing staff that they execute my plan basically. So growing in from like a small business to almost like a true CEO where I'm like, no, we're opening South Bend. Last time I was like picking out the furniture, like I was in the furniture store. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's somebody else's job now, right?
Yeah.
They may run it by me like, hey, is this okay? Because I'm extremely picky and like particular on how things look. But I'm really set the vision, make the big decisions, and I deal with our big vendors. So I deal with our big partners and our big vendors directly. Those are things that it's such a high dollar amount, frankly, that just have to be me. Like nobody's going to make that decision on my behalf.
Right. No, and that's great. Do you find it's easier to shed things now?
Oh yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. You have to have a good people around you though. None of this is possible without a great team. Like I could go on a hiatus and take a 6-month sabbatical and the business would still be here. I told you, like the business would still run. It would be here. It would be fine. Now, would they make a decision like to go to Lexington or Nashville, Tennessee? They're not going to do that without me. The business as it is fine. But right now, any of the growth or big decisions like new office, new anything, that's going to be me. But I could step away and they could run the show, no problem.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of, I don't hear you in this spot, but I'm reminded of my own, speaking of skin knees and whatnot, right? When I had my company was running on an operating system and people were doing all the work and the company was doing great, again, doing the day-to-day. And I was the guy that was out golfing all the time. And that was, as you rub elbows with more business owners, right, that becomes people start talking about how, what's your revenue? And then they start talking about how busy you are in the business. And that becomes like a badge of honor to be like, nope, I'm in the owner's seat. I'm not doing the work. Right. And that's, everyone always works to get there. The more you start talking to entrepreneurs.
Yeah. It's different. They're like, do you have the flexibility to do it? Yeah. But I'm actually like, cause we're growing so much now, I'm far busier than I was 2 years ago. Like my set meetings on the calendar are far more. I made a decision to move out of area. So I travel more. Like Thursday, I'm in South Bend for 10 hours, right? Like that was my decision. If I didn't have that, I would just be at home watching basketball. But instead, we're doing that. We're going to Bloomington. We do all these events and we'll get into the partnerships. But my schedule is just different, right? And a lot of the things I get to do, they are fun. I'm going to Miami in 2 weeks or in whatever this weekend, to meet and go to the IU game with partners and things. Well, that's fun, but that is also work for me.
Absolutely, yeah. You're not just doing it. Well, where I was headed was you haven't gone over the cliff where I was headed. Like again, same thing where I was doing all that, and then because I was stepping out of the business, and then back when someone was like, "Was the company growing?" and I was like, "Oh shit, no." And you know what? I better go back and look, right? Because I did the opposite, where I was isolated, versus you are in a different spot, but you're still doing it, and that the growth direction is around you. So that's just the life lessons and the learnings of.
Yeah, and I got pushed to this, not pushed to it a little bit, but we hired a media team in the spring, and I told you, but I think before we even started recording, like I previously didn't do any of these, even though my name's on the business. I was kind of a background guy. I didn't really care. You get asked to speak to all these things. I'm like, one, whatever. I don't want to put on a suit and go speak to people. That's just not my thing. And two, I'm very impatient and I was always hesitant to do these things. Is like the worst thing that could happen to me is somebody listens to this podcast and thinks it's a waste of time. So I'm always just like, is somebody going to get something out of this or not? Like, because then I feel bad I wasted their time. Maybe it sounds silly, but like when I get to go speak on a panel, like these people are taking time out of their day to come listen to me. And I just didn't do them. I'm like, do I really have something of value for them or not? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just going to go.
Yeah. Right. But again, that's same thing with me, even just starting this, right? My friends have pushed me to go do this, client of mine. And my comments were like, well, what the hell do I have to say?
Right.
Hosting a podcast, right? I'm used to people, just like my wife would say, she thinks, you're hosting a podcast, so you're doing one every day and you got sponsors. I'm like, no, different deal. I'm trying to share someone else's story. So, what they said was, it's not about you, dummy.
Right.
You're helping pull things out of other people, and everyone will take something from it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I hope they do, but it was weird. I hadn't done much of it before. And like you mentioned, the Braden Smith thing, I was just like, oh, just go. We have the NIL rights. Go, film Braden at Mackey. And they're like, nope, you're in the video. Like, we've written you into the story. Like, this is your deal. I'm like, really? So like, it was fun, but I had no intention of doing that. They're just like, no, your name's on the company. You got to go do it. So it's been a change over the last 6 months to kind of put myself out there in the public a little more than I had in the past.
Yeah, it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a different feeling. Which, again, I think we'll post that. I think, again, one, diehard Boiler fan, and obviously Braden with, again, who he has been, who he is. I couldn't imagine a better person to stick behind your company or have as a part of,
for sure,
of your company and identity. It had to be a pretty cool experience, right?
Oh, it was fun. He's a great guy. He knows his dad and mom are friends with some of my friends in Carmel. I actually played AAU basketball versus dad back in the day.
Oh, really?
I actually was talented until everybody outgrew my 5'9" stature. So we had a little in, so we were able to chat and get comfortable quick, and it made it fun. He's a good guy. And I was just like, hey, I don't really like doing these things. He's like, oh, I hate these things, but then we just had fun for an hour, and it turned out great. So
awesome. So, so I know you've obviously done a great deal. Again, must be been more recently, right? Of more partnerships with, again, whether it be with Purdue, whether it be, I think, Notre Dame. I think you were doing something there, and something at IU. How do you track? Because you're clearly a numbers guy. How do you track ROI with that?
Yeah, that's very interesting, because it was my hesitancy to ever do advertising like that because I'm such a numbers guy. Like with Zillow and Realtor or leads you purchase, I know exactly what I spent, exactly what I made, the ROI. If it's not there, I can go back, renegotiate. We need to get better. They need to charge less. It's easy peasy, right? It's once you do it, the math is not difficult, right? With this, it's branding advertising. And so it's very difficult to track. And so that is hard for me. And we hired a media company now, so they think they're going to be able to track a little more than I was I started 3 years ago with Purdue and IU. But it is difficult, and some people questioned me, which is fine. They're allowed to question me and give suggestions. It's my decision though. And I thought it was the right time to do it. And so, I know for certain that our brand, from what I hear from other people and just in general, is way more well-known than it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Do I know if I got the return, whether I lost money, broke even, or made money on it? I don't. And I don't, it's just impossible to track. But I always tell people with the sports stuff, it's a big part of my life, and we want to do partnerships with things that matter. Like, even if it didn't work out, at least it's fun, right? All of our clients or agents get to do more fun things with sports, and it helps with the culture too. It's not just the branding. We had 6 people at the Peach Bowl. We got tickets from IU. We get tickets to the games. They get to take their clients to the games, or just send their clients. So there's a lot more to it than just the branding. I think the people that are here, a lot of them are big sports fans, and we live in Indiana. It's a big sports state, and we've just kind of made it part of what we do, not just from branding, but from a culture standpoint, where we get to spend time together. And I always say, if I want to get an email answered from people, I just put tickets in the subject. And then I'll get 30 requests in 5 minutes. It's like I send an email about like how to make you more money. You don't respond. I say we have extra tickets at the Purdue game tonight, and 25 of you blow me up.
Well, I think that's, and again, your business is so localized, right? For your agents, and you coming back to it's like when I go to our grocery store, right? I don't know how it is there right here in Michigan, right? I'm probably pretty standard. You got, I've got a handful of real estate friends here, brokers, owners, and one of their faces is planted on, depending on which supermarket you go to
Right.
is printed on the cart, right? And it is the game, right? People need to know, be aware. It's about awareness.
Yeah.
And so it also sounds like, the whole other rough thing being a brokerage owner is you've got 250 people that aren't your employees. You happen to pay them, but they're independent and they're
Right.
contractors. They do their own thing. And like you said, how do you attract them? What are you doing better or different than Keller Williams down the street or whomever, right?
Exactly. So, and just so people like understand, like the clients are still our clients, but me as the brokerage owner, my clients are really the real estate agents.
Yeah.
Then their clients are the other people. Now we're going to provide them every tool to provide great service to the end consumer, right? But
Yeah.
as a brokerage, my goal is to provide the best ROI for agents. So the best of everything at a simpler, lower cost. That's been my plan from the beginning. So we have cool offices, best technology, great staff, access to leads nobody else has. Our caps on their sphere are simple and lower. We don't nickel and dime them. So that's been the goal. I want to provide for everybody in our area to be the best option for them to run their business. That's all I'm ever trying to do. And if we do that, we get great agents and they take great care of the consumer. We're all good. But yes, the agents are our businesses. The agents are my clients.
Right.
Yeah, they don't work for me. I always say, I don't ever say we work with you. I'm not your boss. We work with you. I'm trying to help you. When you succeed, we succeed. But yeah, so it is different as the owner of the brokerage. We're trying to attract agents and good agents.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's shift a little bit. Because you have a daughter how old is she?
I have two now.
Two now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blair is 9.
Yeah.
And then at 44, we just had a baby. Reese was born in April.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. 9-year gap. And it's not a secret to anybody, but both of our children were born via surrogate mother, which is a large reason for the gap, right? It was very expensive. So we didn't have Blair until we were in our mid 30s. And then we started trying again. It was right around COVID. I didn't want to get the details on this, but like you're going to do a transfer and it's COVID. It didn't work. And then we had to get a new surrogate mother, and it's a whole process. It ended up taking several years, but we're very, very lucky to have Reese at 44, but a little older than others, a little bigger gap, but we're very thankful for it.
That is awesome. Many, many congratulations. And I love that, obviously for different reasons, right? I've got 4 kids. So, it's one of those, we also have a gap, and I've got young, and I feel a part of that. But the fact that you guys do the hard work to get there and to get that. So kudos. That's just a really, really cool thing.
Yeah.
And to the surrogates. So that's, again, it just amazes me how that circle and that loop happens. But that's about the time, it sounds like. That's roughly right when, you had a young one when you started this thing.
Yeah, we started, I think Blair was 1.5 when we opened the brokerage. So, we did all this at the same time, and it's been hard too. You're growing the business infinitely. I don't even know what the growth rate is, from 200 to 225 in 7 years. And during that time, you're raising a child and then trying to have the other one, and other things as we get older. You're taking care of parents, and Kate and I have, for whatever, we take care of multiple parents, and it's just fine. There's just a lot going on minus just the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's what I love. I love getting into that, right? Because most people see your video shooting hoops with Braden Smith, and they think this guy's got it. And you do, great business, all those things that people just assume that stuff happens, right? Or you do get to go down to the natty, which is really, really cool. And that just happens, right? There's all kinds of work that get there. But there's so much more to being the guy sitting in the seat that you're in, as you are providing for your family. You had to sacrifice a whole hell of a lot to provide for your family. And now here you are. And then now it's interesting. Now you're talking about that next generation. And before we were on here, you said you got to go on vacation, and and take your mom with you. And that's like kind of a gift. And I was waiting to circle that back to your original part of your story where she supported you way beyond what, not after 18, you're out of here.
Yep.
I don't know. Tell me how I don't know, where does that fit in all this business?
Yeah. I mean, one, I know I could never pay her back. I don't think she expects me to.
Right.
I mean, I always tell people like, this isn't here without my mom. A lot of these people aren't here that are in the office today. That is not here without my mom. It just took a great sacrifice. It takes just having somebody that believes in you like that is an amazing thing, right? It's an amazing thing. And we actually just helped her purchase the house right behind us in October. So she's now my neighbor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yep. So mom's here. She actually went with we have that South Bend grand opening. So the bartender gives us this huge list, and my wife's sick. So mom's out at Total Wine and More buying the booze for Thursday for us. So she helps with the kids, and our life is a lot busier. My mom moved in October. It was 3 or 4 months ago now, but honestly, with having the baby and the business growing and we're out, we're again relying on it's so weird. We're again relying on my mom for totally something different. She's happy to do it, just taking care of the grandkids, but we're gone a lot. You know what I mean? Now with having to do this, and so now instead of babysitters and things, they get to hang out with grandma, and they're there if we need backup when we're traveling, and then my daughter obviously loves having grandma next door. But yeah, kind of full circle. But yeah, she moved next door. She's 100 feet from me.
That is so cool. When my wife and I were in Florida and we had our first, we always knew we were coming back to Michigan because that's where she's from. And, and they always win. So, me being from Indiana, I knew I wasn't going back home, but I kind of sensed I always go back to Michigan or go to Michigan. But I went kicking and screaming because I was like, we're by ourselves in Florida and Orlando. I'm wearing flip-flops, walking dogs. I'm short. I'm living life, having fun.
Yeah.
And then kids come and they're like, oh, we're moving back. And it was like within 2 months. My son was 2 when we moved back.
Wow.
2 months old when we moved back to move to Michigan. And I was so bitter. I was like, oh, we could still be in Florida. But then I couldn't imagine trying to raise our kids without family around.
Yeah.
Because it's such a cool experience for them. Obviously, it's a huge weight off. You can't have more of a trusted person to take care of your kids.
It's huge. We're lucky. My dad passed away a year and a half ago. We had moved him here 3 years ago, so he got to spend his last couple of years with Blair, and she enjoyed that. And so both my mom, my wife's mom, and then her dad, who we take care of him as well. The moms are fine. Seems like the dads need more help.
We're always really
anyways, they're all here, and the kids love it, and that's how I grew up with my grandparents right around the corner. So
yeah, really, really cool. Well, Jim, this has been awesome, and it is weird calling you Jim, by the way. But I'll get used to it as we're both adults now. But I do like to finish on one thing. I like to have my guests think of a failure, mistake, and this maybe we already teed some stuff up earlier, but a failure or mistake that happened in life that you learned the most from that others can as well.
I think they both go hand in fist, or I don't even know the saying. I'm not very good at that stuff, but definitely thinking you made it before you did is a mistake. And I paid the price for that. And then also when you're an entrepreneur, you have to grow at the right speed, because money is not it's not endless, right? We're not. It's hard to take a business public and have somebody go give you millions of dollars or bring in investors. It's much more difficult than people think. So I think another mistake I made along the way is getting too far out on my skis. Like, hey, I know it works, we can do it. Then you're spending too much. Like, you have to, when you spend more or grow more, you have to backfill, right? then you go. So you can't take 2 steps forward without filling the first one behind, if that makes sense. So I definitely had some moments in time where I'm like, oh shoot, we were not ready to do that. I'm just burning cash because I don't have people to service these leads or whatever it might be. So I think business wise, the biggest thing I've done and learned, and hopefully I've learned from it, because it's still hard to decide all the time, is don't get too far out there. You got to make sure everything's growing in one cohesive group. Just because you spend more money doesn't mean you make more money. You have to have the systems and people in place to do that. And so I think that kind of go hands and together with what happened in my 20s, where I thought I had made it, and the deal wasn't done yet. So I think just trying to stay in the moment, not get ahead of yourself, enjoy the process, the journey. It's fun. Like, we're competitive guys. I know you're a competitive guy. We've known each other. I was so, just on a tangent here, but so I negotiated with Realtor.com and got a price reduction last week. And my wife thinks I'm like a lunatic, but I felt like I just won the Super Bowl. I'm like, I crushed them, hon. I killed these people. Like, they didn't even know what I did to them. And I'm like, feel like I just won like the high school championship or something. And she's just like, you're just a different, there's not very many people built like you, dude. But I thought it was like, I was like ready to have a party, like, but that's our competition now, right? Like, you and I aren't, we can play pickleball or something, but you're not competing anymore. I view it, and this is a side note, this is competition to me. The journey is the competition, and I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, and there's stressful times, if I didn't enjoy it, I'd just stop.
Yeah. No, I love that. Right. And celebrating when you do get those good things, because
for sure you have to, because it's so hard. Like, if something goes your way, it's okay to be like, we did a good job.
Yeah. Because those tough times are always right around the corner, right? Something's always lurking around the corner.
Yep.
Well, Jim, what an awesome time, man. Great reconnecting with you. I love what you're doing. What's the best way for folks? I know you don't want a bunch of consumers hounding you on some things, but what's the best way for people to get help from Trueblood Real Estate?
Yeah, just truebloodre.com, our website. Everything you need to know is on there. Who to contact, how to contact, you just hit a button. Truebloodre.com. And we can help you if needed. And we basically cover the entire state of Indiana, and we'll be a good chunk of Kentucky here in about 2 weeks.
Awesome. Love it. Well, I know everyone got a ton of nuggets from that, Jim. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It was fun to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, that is the roll call, everyone. That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to The Roll Call with John Glahn. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe for more insightful conversations. Remember, discovering your true role in life is a journey worth exploring each and every day. Until next time, keep defining your path and living your authentic self. This is John Glahn signing off.